Transition is always a little glitchy. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dr. Sem Yankees show. Special guest Ethan Semendinger, my son, will be on in just a minute. But my dear friends, let's make today a great day. And how do you make your day great? It's simple. You look around the world. You really look around your life, but you look around the world and you see the goodness, and there is goodness that's all around you. And you cherish that goodness in your heart. And when you notice that there's good in your life, that should spur you, that should perpetuate you to be appreciative. And when we are appreciative and when we are grateful, we live better lives. Instead of saying, what did you do for me? You think, wow, look what everyone else has done. And look how great my life is. And how can I repay that forward? Remember, my friends, when we give love, it comes back to us in greater amounts than we ever gave. Just a reminder that this is the Dr. Sem Yankee show, but it's also the Start Spreading the News podcast. Right now, I do not have time to do two podcasts, and so this airs Saturday mornings on all of those networks at 7 a.m. I'm getting mixed up here, and it also runs on Monday nights at 9 p.m., the same exact show. And all of these programs are brought to you by Artemisia Publishing. Artemisia, a fantastic publisher located in the United States of America. One of the very best independent publishers there is. Go to apbooks.net to see their vast selection, a plethora of award-winning books, including many sports books coming in February, The Greatest New York Yankees by Uniform Number. They also have the award-winning novel that I wrote, Scattering the Ashes. My motivational book, 365.2. If there is something that you don't think you can do, go out and get this book, 365.2, Going the Distance. After reading that, you'll believe and know that you can do anything. Also, Roy White's wonderful autobiography that I wrote with him, From Compton to the Bronx, the award-winning The Least Among Them. And just one other note, Scattering the Ashes is also available as an audiobook, as is The Least Among Them. The great Ethan Levine narrates The Least Among Them, but since this is my novel, the narrator on the audiobook for Scattering the Ashes is none other than me. All right, so I'm going to bring Ethan in right now. I'm just going to take that banner down and welcome my son to the show. Ethan, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. So you look good in your Yankee pinstripes there. I like the white hat. What hat is that?
It's a Vineyard Vines hat. I got this at what is that outlet mall down near the Jersey Shore? I think the Jersey Shore Premium Outlets.
Yes.
Got it on a nice sale they were having ahead of Labor Day there. So
it's a nice hat. And the guy who invented that company or whatever, he's a Lafayette College graduate, no?
Yeah, one of the two guys. I forget if it was there's two guys who started Vineyard Vines, Shep and Ian. I don't know their last name. I'm assuming it's Vineyard Vines. But one of the two of them. I'm not quite sure which. I always forget it off the top of my head. But yes, a proud alumnus of the good old Lafayette College.
I think you are as well, right?
And David Bednar, the best closer the Yankees have currently.
And also my other son, Ryan, one of my three sons.
Yes, the oldest one.
10 of my children are Lafayette graduates.
What was that?
67% of my children are.
Oh, yes.
And also my daughter-in-law.
Yep.
50% of my daughter-in-laws are Lafayette graduates. So all good stuff. Ethan, today I would like us to talk about my proposal for the 2026 Yankees. But rather than going, and we're going to do this piece by piece in a sense, but I first want to present the big idea, and we don't have a whole lot of time. And I think you might have a trivia question for me at the end of this, and so I hope we get time for that. So I'm going to present the initial argument, and then you can tell me if it's realistic or not, because I'll go into this saying it's not realistic, not the way the Yankees operate. But as a business plan, it's the way I believe they should operate. And then I'll present the big idea. You can then comment on that, say, Dad, that's crazy, or I agree with you. And then we'll just go through the positions. We can maybe do them quickly, position by position. If you say you agree, then there really isn't much of a need to debate it or discuss it, unless you say I agree, and I also want to add this. Does that make sense?
Makes all the sense in the world.
Of course, everything I do makes all the sense in the world. But anyway, here we go. I believe that the Dodgers operate in the manner that the Yankees used to operate. You know, they wouldn't have gotten Babe Ruth if they weren't willing to spend a gazillion amounts of dollars, in order to buy Babe Ruth. And of course, once they got Babe Ruth, that spurred on the beginning of the Yankee greatness that lasts for the rest of that entire century, the 20th century. But they didn't just get Babe Ruth from the Red Sox. Anytime the Red Sox needed money, the Yankees unapologetically went out and got every great Red Sox player, the ones who had been part of the dominant Red Sox teams of the 19 teens, and they brought them to the Yankees and made the Yankees the great team of the 1920s. Then they spent gazillions of dollars to get Joe DiMaggio. They spent money to get Tony Lazzari. In the 50s, the Yankees went out and they unapologetically went to the St. Louis Browns or the Baltimore Orioles, who they became, and the Kansas City Athletics, and they said, we want that guy, that guy, that guy, that guy, and that guy. They didn't apologize for raiding those clubs of all their best players. They said, we want the best players, and our objective is to win, period. And then they went through a period, obviously, in the late 60s, mid to late 60s into the 70s, where they weren't that good. George Steinbrenner buys the team. Free agency dawns, and George Steinbrenner unapologetically says, I own the Yankees. We have the deepest pockets. We're the richest team in baseball. And so Catfish Hunter's available? No, not anymore. He's a Yankee. Oh, Reggie's available? No, not anymore. He's a Yankee. Oh, Rich Gossage is available? Nope, not anymore. He's a Yankee. Don Gullett? We'll grab him. Andy Messersmith? We'll grab him. And he had a singular purpose of putting the greatest team possible on the field, did not apologize for any of that, as the Yankees never did. They said, our objective is to win it all. They then follow that same model in the 90s and into the 2000s. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, but the objective, clearly, without any remorse, was we are going to use our vast resources of wealth and talent to make these trades, like in the 50s with the Kansas City A's, and even into the 90s when they traded David Wells for Roger Clemens, and they traded 3 up-and-coming pitchers for David Cohn, and they traded Eric Milton for Chuck Knobloch. It was, no, we don't care what everybody else is doing. We're the Yankees. We want to win. And so my first argument, which you can now comment on, is the Yankees no longer operate like that. They seem ashamed and embarrassed of their wealth and their riches. And instead of going with a singular mission, like the Dodgers do, and say, we don't care that you're going to think that we're putting out the best team that money can buy. We don't see that as a negative. We see it as a positive, but they don't do that anymore. And instead of going big, they go kind of big. And they always leave things unanswered when the season starts. They always leave question marks. And because they refuse to go all in, I'm not saying they don't spend money. They do. But because they don't go all in, they end up with a team that's weaker than it could be or should be. What do you think?
I completely agree. Right. And I know we would expect this. I've written similar ideas and similar ways of saying the same thing. The Yankees do a really good job of spending money. They don't do a really good job spending that money effectively. And one thing I think the Yankees have done tremendously is they have spent money in the right ways to convince fans that they are spending more than they really have. I mean, obviously, I was too young to really understand the Yankees of the 1990s, early 2000s, and how they were operating. And I missed, you know, the old George Steinbrenner going to go out and buy everybody frenzies and sagas.
No, you saw part of it, though. Hideki Matsui's out there. I'm getting him. This was before your time. Hideki Arabu's out there. I'm getting him. El Duque's available. I'm getting him. Jose Contreras. I'm getting him. Jason Giambi. He's better than Tino. We're getting him. A-Rod. Yeah, we'll get him.
Yeah, there were evidence of what had been happening in the past, and you can look to 2009, and that's the argument that every Yankee fan brings up nowadays is, well, they did spend big. Look, they got Sabathia and Burnett and Teixeira. Nick Swisher was a late grab that year. They had, but they had already had a great team, and those supplemental parts. I mean, CC obviously was a big add, and Burnett was the number 2 pitcher, and you can make the argument they spent big and they won. And I think that's where you're saying is the Yankees have to remember what their roots are. The Yankees have never been a team that's going to build a great farm system. You know, Derek Jeter was a once-in-a-lifetime hit, and it just so happened they had Posada and Pettit and Rivera and Williams all coming up at the same time. In the Yankees of today, Judge, and it's a bunch of other players who we're going to forget in 5-10 years. If you look, and I've written this a bajillion times, if you look at the Yankees' top 10 prospects, top 30 prospects from 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, you look at any of these lists, it's Aaron Judge and Ian Clarkin and Giovanni Gallegos and Blake Rutherford and Eric Jaglio. I mean, all players who had all the potential in the world. I remember you and I were talking when Jaglio became a prospect. We're like, this guy's going to be great. King Jaglio. It's a great reference to Central Park and the statues there, and this is going to be so much fun. And I don't even think he made it past AA. I don't think most people would even have heard the name if they're listening to this, would have recognized that. So the Yankees do a great job of spending money. They don't do a great job of developing players, and they don't do a great job spending that money effectively. And I think what you're arguing is don't try to spend it effectively. Just spend it and spend it and spend it, because that's the true Yankee spirit. They're not trying to be the Moneyball A's. They're not trying to be a team that's, middle of the pack with budget, like the Milwaukee Brewers, who can get 1 or 2 or 3 nice pieces and have those guys around for a few years. Now, the Yankees should go all in, spend every single dollar. I mean, look, what's the Dodgers payroll this year? It's ungodly. And
the Dodgers, I think, have bigger revenue than the Yankees this year. I just saw something on that. I could be wrong, but the Dodgers spend a ton of money, and they're making more money too. And you got to spend in order to make it.
Yeah, and think about the Ohtani contract. His contract is astronomical, but they're only getting hit with a $2 million cap hit, and I forget exactly how that works. But they're spending another $68 million on top of that as a signing bonus,
and some of it's deferred and all that.
Whatever it is, it's obviously they are willing to spend the money, and it's large amounts of money, and the Dodgers are not silly enough to have a bunch of people in their accounting departments who are going to say, this is too much money, we're never going to make it back. They obviously know the money's going to come back to them.
Yes. So here's my argument. The Yankees want to play nicely with the other owners. They don't want to be seen as the evil empire. George Steinbrenner embraced that. When they got Jose Contreras, the Red Sox then called the Yankees the evil empire. So what then happened? The Yankees started playing the Death Star music, or whatever it's called, from Star Wars. Dun, 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 dun. They were. You want to call us the evil empire? Okay, yeah, we are. You know why? Because we are going to win. If there's a great player out there, we're getting him. You're not. And so at the management level, there's this idea that we have to play nice with the other owners. If they're only willing to spend X amount of money, we'll play a little bit better than that, but we're not going to blow them away. And there's 2 thoughts on that. One, the Yankees, and we've talked about this before, but the Yankees who are worth more than $8 billion. The next closest team is the Dodgers, who are worth 6-point-something billion. And then it goes down from there. The Yankees have a value worth billions, not millions, billions more than every other team. And so the Yankees want to play nicely. Well, we don't want to spend too much more than you, even though they can. And so there's this idea that we have to be nice to you, but that doesn't translate on the field, because during the games, the other managers are saying, I have to do everything I can to beat those guys. They don't go, well, the Yankees didn't go out and get 5 superstars this winter like they could have, so we should only play scrubs against them to repay them for not putting the best team out there. They go, no, we're going to beat them. In fact, every team says, oh, we get up bigger. When we play the Yankees, it's a big deal. We fill our stadiums. We really want to win those games against the Yankees, so we play even harder. So on the field and in the front office, they're not going, well, maybe we shouldn't get those players because the Yankees also didn't. They go, no, the Yankees didn't get them. We're getting them. And we're going to have that guy in our team so he can beat the Yankees. And so you have the ownership saying, well, we don't really want to try hard, or we try hard, but not all the way because we want to be friendly with the other owners. And then in the games, they're saying, we want to beat you. And the two don't mix. And then the second part of that, since the Yankees are unwilling to spend from their deepest pockets, their one strength, that's their superpower, and they refuse to use it, they have now convinced the fans that, well, it would be nice to get player X, but that would really impact our payroll. And they have the fans. They have hoodwinked their own fans into thinking that the Yankees need to operate within a budget that's similar to the other major league teams. What do you think?
100%. Yeah, it's baffling. I want to know what the Yankees' budget to do this like psychological trick on all of us has been, and I'm a victim to it too in the last 5-6 years. Every article that I write about, well, we got to think about how much money this guy's going to be making this year when we're thinking about a trade, and that's me trying to be realistic into the Yankees framework, right? I'm with you. I want the Yankees to spend every dollar they have every single year because they will get it back tenfold. We've discussed this countless times. You used to have a season ticket package. The Yankees then said they have a budget. You canceled your season ticket package and said, so do I, right? And so many Yankee fans I know and I've talked to are the same way. If the Yankees are going to operate within a budget, I have to consider my own budget, and my budget doesn't stretch to like an $8 billion net worth like the Yankees have. The Yankees have the money. They have the funds. Go out and spend it.
And when you're if you're running a sports franchise, this isn't the Milwaukee Brewers or the Philadelphia Phillies even, or the Pittsburgh Pirates or the Florida Marlins or Texas Rangers or whatever. This is the Yankees. And when you're going into a season without using your superpower, your tremendous wealth, the one thing you have that nobody else has, you're tying your own hands behind your back. You're making your team purposefully weaker because you want to try to play nicely with everybody. When I was in the early 1980s, every player, it seemed, for a period wanted to play on the San Diego Padres. Now, did the Padres outbid everybody? No. Everybody said San Diego is the best place to live and they have the best climate. Did San Diego say, I know we have the best place to play and we have the best climate, but that's not really fair to New York. Why would somebody want to? It wouldn't be fair to make them want to play in San Diego when we're so much nicer than New York. Would you rather sit in smog and traffic and all of what New York is? And of course, I love New York. Or would you rather be in sunny San Diego? Would you rather have cold winters and rainy days? Or would you rather be in sunny San Diego? The Yankees say, well, we don't want to use our strength. The Padres never said that. They're like, come to San Diego. They didn't say, well, if you play for us, we are going to make sure it rains. We're going to find a place that's rainy and make you stand there and shiver in a light jacket because It's not fair that we have a climate advantage and you don't. No, they use that climate advantage to their advantage. That's what they had. And the Yankees' advantage is their money. And it's time that they pull out all the stops, because this nonsense of we're working within a budget and we're going to promote kids from within. Since 2001, they've won one World Series. That's an abysmal record. It might be a nice record if you're the California Angels. It wouldn't even be a good enough record for the St. Louis Cardinals, but it's definitely not a good enough record when you're the Yankees. Thoughts?
And one guy has watched that entire 10-year run, and that's Brian Cashman. And I've made this point again. Yeah, Brian Cashman is the secret Steinbrenner child. And I think it's until he wants to retire that he'll still be a Yankee general manager. I think there's a pipe dream that he ends up going to do something else, but it will be within the organization as a higher up, and he's still going to have his say into what's going on and what's, what are the day-to-day moves and operations and deals. I think that's going to be the biggest hurdle to get out of this latest trend. But at a point, you have to notice what's happening. You have to see the trends. And Brian Cashman has not been a good enough general manager during the era where being cap conscious, being aware of the amount of money you're spending, being aware of the league and how they're trying to put a luxury tax, and if you're above it for 3 years, it's this much percentage. Again, the fans shouldn't care. The fact that I even am aware of the fact that this is a thing means that the Yankees have beaten me over the head with it, with like a lead pipe, because I shouldn't be aware of the fact that, if they spend an extra $5 this year, they're going to actually have to spend another $6 to the, just $1 goes to the Pirates and $2 goes to the Tampa Bay Rays. With Cashman in, he has just not been an effective general manager at making the right moves and bringing in the right people and ignoring that. And like you're saying, I think there's a atmosphere, there's an emotion with it where the Yankees are afraid to go all in and be that evil empire, be the team that makes those moves. I mean, just last offseason, Yoshinobu Yamamoto was available. The Yankees did not make even the best offer with money. They didn't offer the most amount of years. They didn't offer the most amount of money. He obviously went to the Dodgers, who offered the most amount of years and the most amount of money. The Yankees made a fine offer, but they weren't close. And that has happened time and time. It happened with Soto.
And they make a good enough offer.
Machado. I could never imagine putting that much money up on the table. My gosh. Yeah, here's $300 million. You want it? I can't imagine saying no to that unless someone on the other hand is saying, here's $325. Yeah, I'm taking that.
Correct. It makes no sense for the Yankees to hurt themselves by not using the one advantage they have, which is they have the deepest pockets. And yet, when a guy, and listen, again, I will say this until I'm blue in the face, I was thrilled, 100% thrilled, enthused, excited when the Yankees got Giancarlo Stanton. But because I thought this was them in 2017 saying it's been too long since we've been in the World Series. We're going to go a different way, and if there's a superstar out there, we're going to get him. And to me, it signaled the Yankees going back to the old way. And then I said, and next year we're getting Harper. I mean, we're going to have Stanton, we're going to have Harper, we're going to have Judge. They're going to build a juggernaut. And they got Stanton, and they said, well, we're spending a lot of money, so that's all we're going to get. We're not going to get the other good guys. They hurt themselves by saying, well, we don't want to have too much wealth, but you already have the wealth. You have the wealth. You just got to spend it to then have the wealth in players. And what the Yankees, so here's one idea in my plan. And Ethan, we spent so much time just on this that we're not going to have a whole lot of time to get into the plan. So maybe next week or so. Now you're saying, oh, I thought I was only on one once. Now I got to do this next 2 weeks in a row. Oh, hey, Dad, you tricked me. But I didn't, that we just got talking. But the Yankees have used Giancarlo Stanton's contract as a reason to not get other players. And then they're like everybody when I mentioned for the last couple of years, well, they need to get rid of Stanton because he's not helping the team anymore. They go, well, you can't get rid of him. He has got a no trade clause. Okay, release him. Well, the Yankees aren't going to release him. It costs too much money. No. That's where everybody's missing it. That's the point. The Yankees can make bad signings and then fix it by saying, oh, Mr. Stanton, you're gone. That's my phone. But I'll just, I can't quite grab it over. So it'll just keep ringing in the background. I'm sorry. You talk for a second and then the phone will stop talking. But the Yankees, what they should do is just release him and pay him. Done. You go.
Yeah, it baffles me, the Yankees. I mean, we saw it. They finally admitted it with DJ LeMahieu this year. Off the top of my head, I can't remember who they did it. They did it with A-Rod. They got rid of him.
They eventually did it with Ellsbury, but they carried them for years and used their contracts as years not to get the next guy.
DJ LeMahieu was tired at that point. Everyone had called for him to be let go, and they just wouldn't do it. I'm coming, I think, from a place of, and I agree with you. I love Stanton. When he came, we have the Kit Kat thing. He hits a home run. We're watching it together. One of us is running to CVS as fast as we can to buy a Kit Kat because it's fun. We want to celebrate, the good moments and the fun moments and make memories. But I don't want to see Giancarlo Stanton's legacy in New York go down the Ellsbury, go down the LeMahieu, go down the A-Rod pipeline where they're just too expensive to 99% of the fans who think this way, and then fans get upset, and then they're releasing him, and now he gets forgotten, right? And his legacy goes down poorly. The Yankees should just acknowledge the fact of the matter. In every single sport, you can trade an albatross contract. You can get rid of a guy, and the money doesn't matter. This happens in hockey all the time, and that's a league where people make a lot of money and there's very little space available. And yet teams somehow find a way to get rid of costly players. The Yankees, in a league with no salary cap, should be able to acknowledge this, freely trade for these guys to get in better talent, right? We'll take the bad contract, release the player, and take your better player for him. That type of deal should be so common. It should be like the first thought in every Yankee fan's head. Oh, we need to get rid of this guy. We'll take your good player too. And then release him. And I think players would love that too.
They would. And then people would actually want to play for the Yankees again.
Yeah. Oh, the Yankees are going to trade for me. I get another free agency where I can pick wherever I want to live and every team's interested because I'm making minimum salary. Yeah, that sounds great to me.
And what the Yankees
now I can go to San Diego and enjoy the weather.
What the Yankees need to do is when a player is proven to be past his prime, they go, yeah, I know. For another team, that $27 million contract would be an albatross. But we're the Yankees. Mr. Stanton, love you. Thanks anyway. You're DFA'd. If another team wants to pay the rest of your salary, and that's fine. But we're not going to be tied down to your contract and make our team worse because you're not good. Sorry, Mr. LeMahieu. I know we made a bad deal with you. We're still going to give you your money, but you're not going to be on our roster anymore. Sorry, that's just the way it is. We don't have to be held down by bad contracts. Other teams do. We don't. We're the Yankees. We'll get to the specifics next week, but Eth, you had a quiz for me, so I can't let it go without you at least throwing it out there.
Okay. I was going to do the Yankees, who were Yankees, Dodgers, and Blue Jays only in their career, but there are none. So I picked for lack of time, we'll just do the top 3 batters. This way, if we need more time next week, we'll talk pitchers. Top 3 batters who were Yankees, Blue Jays, and Dodgers in their careers.
Do I get any hints?
One of them is very, very easy. One of them is very, very obvious.
Is it Ricky?
It's Ricky, yes.
All right.
Ricky Henderson, we're going by WAR with the Yankees, just to be clear. So Ricky Henderson had the highest WAR while with the Yankees, who also played on the other 2 teams. The next player...
Is it John Olerud?
No, John.
He was never. I don't think he was ever a Dodger.
He was never a Dodger, no.
Okay.
The next player, we were actually talking about this player the other day, when you first mentioned your plan to me, talking about center fielders that the Yankees have had over the years. This guy was a great signing, very short amount of time in the pinstripes. Would have never known he was even a Blue Jay and a Dodger, got to be honest.
That was a great Yankee. What year was he a
2010 to
Yankee?
2013. So
His Yankee career ended in 2013?
Yes. 2010.
Curtis Granderson?
Yes. Curtis Granderson.
I don't remember him being a Dodger or a Blue Jay either.
He played 104 games with the Dodgers and 36 games with the Blue Jays. So.
Wow.
And
all right, last one.
Last one. This guy was a catcher. Came, I believe he came from the Blue Jays.
Is it Rick Cerrone?
It is not.
All right.
Actually, sorry.
Russell Martin.
Yep, I'm thinking about it backwards. Came from the Dodgers, Yankees, and ended his career with the Blue Jays. Well, a couple stints in between. Yeah, the top three players with their Yankee tenure who also happen to be Blue Jays and Dodgers. Ricky Henderson, Curtis Granderson, and Russell Martin.
Wow, who's the fourth?
Fourth would be the only other two really notable guys.
Let's see if I can get them. We have a minute.
A B WAR over one.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, one guy, I believe he's known better as a Blue Jay. Nope, again, Dodger. Spent a long time with the Dodgers, was a Yankee for 2002 and 2003. Middle right fielder.
Raul Mondesi?
Raul Mondesi. Yeah. That's a good poll. The last guy was a Yankee for 1996 and 1997. It was not really remembered for his play, but for something that he said.
Oh. He actually hit 340 in 1996. Am I right about that batting average?
In 1996?
He hit 340.
He hit 340.
Yes. Mariano Duncan. That's right. We played today. We win today. That's it. I love him. Love it. Mariano Duncan's actually, because he had that great year. He had 340 in 1996. Helped the Yankees become a World Series team, bring the glory back to the Bronx. I see a lot of parallels between his 1996 season and Trent Grisham's 2025 season. Middling player, good talent, good clubhouse guy. Everybody seems to like him. He's got a little personality and stuff like that. And he had a career year. Notice, though, that the Yankees did not then stick with Mariano Duncan for the next 37 years like they did when they got DJ LeMahieu or Aaron Hicks. They get these guys, they have a big year, they give them a contract like, well, now we're stuck with them for 100 years. No, again, to close, if you're the Yankees and you get a guy and you try to make a great deal like an Aaron Hicks, once you realize it's not working out, you go, we're the Yankees. We can afford to cut him. Okay, Aaron, sorry, bye-bye. We're going in another direction. But you owe me $30 million over the next 5 years or whatever. Okay, we'll pay you. But we're the Yankees. We can do that. Other teams can't, but we can. Ethan, thank you so much for joining me. I know you want to watch the Devils. My dear friends, this has been the Dr. Sem Yankees show and the Start Spreading the News show. I'm doing them both right now at the same time just because I have zero time. Back to work full-time, 2 college classes, 3 books I'm trying to drive home to completion that are all going to come out in 2026, including the Yankee number book with Artemisia, the Civil War book about the Battle of Gettysburg, a great other book that was a collaboration that I did with a very important news person. More news on that coming in the future. Great stuff. Ethan, thank you for joining me. Everybody, thank you for watching. And I'll be back again next week, hopefully with Ethan, and we'll actually talk about the players I think the Yankees should get. Have a great night, everyone.